It's time for Inside the Gamecocks, the show with Phil Mullinax and JC Sherbert.
So, how many of you would say you speak English fairly well, but with some difficulty?
Fat, drunk, and stupid is no way to go through life, son.
You play to win the game.
Now, let's take it away, JC and Phil.
Traffic. Big sack for the Gamecocks. J.J. Inigbari. Launch it up, looking for Kelly. Touchdown! Can you believe it?
And now it's time for some Gamecock football.
There's never been more excitement about South Carolina football than there is right now.
I've heard all the stories of the great George Rogers out back in 1980. He made the whole nation holler. And I've seen that photograph of young Steve Tannehill up in old Death Valley signing his name on the field. Yeah, and I love the year 2001 if it Williams, Bryce, or Ross. Oh, what else can I say? I'm just a big old car. Well, you know I've come from a long way.
There we go. Welcome inside the Gamecocks, the show. JC Sherbert, Phil Mullinax.
Morning.
How are you?
I'm doing well, man. Ready for this game to start.
Shoot, yeah, man. Coming at a good time. I want to start off by saying thoughts and prayers go out to the folks Southwest Florida. Really, they took it on the chin yesterday pretty bad. Some of the scenes are downright apocalyptic. I mean, I know I have some friends and family down that way that got out, but, I mean, they've got a long road ahead of them to recover. You know, South Carolina fans you know that Carolina hasn't gotten a whole lot of guys out of there, but Kelton Henderson, one of the recruits for 2023 from Lehigh Acres in that part. Jordan Diggs is from Fort Myers, former Gamecock linebacker safety. And then also Zaquandre White is from Fort Myers. So just thoughts and prayers got to them. Wanted to start it on a somber note a little bit because I know when you look at that, those kinds of things, and you kind of see that happening. I mean, it can get to you. But anyway, there is a football game tonight because of the hurricane. Kind of glad it is tonight. It'll be a nice welcome distraction. Gamecocks are, I think, be one of the only college games on up against who the Bengals and Dolphins. Is that the NFL game tonight? I think.
Yeah, Thursday night. Yep, Bengals.
Yeah,
wearing that,
Bengals and Dolphins. But some people
all white unis. The Bengals are. The helmets look pretty cool lately.
Really awesome, huh? Yeah. So I think that'll be a good thing. And you know, we'll Gamecocks will kind of get the SEC network to itself. Kickoff is at 7:00, Williams-Brice Stadium, as we normally do the day before, or in this case, the day of a game. No poll question today. We'll have Keith Allsup coming in at 11:30, and he was supposed to be Monday and couldn't had kind of a laryngitis or something, so couldn't come in. So instead of doing a review for this week, we're going to do a preview with Keith and talk about the game, and then he'll be back with us Monday. No show tomorrow. Going to take the tomorrow off. just after a game day and stuff. I mean, kind of get back in our routine, kind of like the team, you know. We're going to do that. We'll be back Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of next week. We'll have something for you Friday. I'm going to Lexington, and I'm leaving early Thursday morning. And so my travel schedule is going to impact programming next week too. And I realize that's the third week. We've kind of jumbled the schedule a little bit, but we'll be back up rocking and rolling, barring anything unforeseen, Monday through Friday. After that, this Kentucky trip I've planned since June, since before we launched. So, but we'll figure something out and get you. You guys won't miss too many episodes. The Nana Sports chat box always is lively, and we appreciate our chat boxers, and that's a big part of what we do at the show. We like to be kind of interactive with everybody and all that, which is kind of fun because, you know, Phil, before we brought you on board and started streaming, I was kind of like, I don't know how many of you listen to right-wing conservative talk radio, or if there's a left-wing equivalent, that's fine too. I'm going to be politically balanced here, but Dr. Michael Savage, you know, he just gets on and goes. I was kind of like the Dr. Michael Savage of Gamecock podcast. I just come on and just talk for an hour, but I like this better because then I don't run my mouth as much. I probably need to shut up a little bit anyway, right?
That's all right. You're the one who man.
But love the Nana Sports chat box, the iHelp Consulting mailbag. We got some questions on Twitter. Also, what we're going to do today in lieu of a poll, and Curse Lights already chimed in, just like we always do. Give us your prediction and then go and tell us where you're going from. You're calling from. So that's it's interesting. Curse Light has already chimed in, and he or she or whoever, I don't know. 27-10 Gamecocks. I don't know about that. I think last week he picked Charlotte to win. So, or she,
we're getting trolled. Yeah, maybe we're.
I think that guy's probably worried about what game day is going to do this weekend. You know,
yeah, right?
I guess, or something, or Georgia playing Missouri or something. John, Nana Sports chat box, rocking and rolling up in the Pacific Northwest. He says, "Morning all on a beautiful game day. All good thoughts sent to our neighbors in Florida this morning." I agree with you, John. Yeah, The Krager's always one of the first to chime in. We love that. Good morning. Good morning, Krager. Good morning, Krager Nom. That didn't come off too well. Clint says, "What's up, everybody?" Daniel says, "Good morning, JC and Phil. Hope to see a good short passing game from Rattler tonight. The D can continue to look like they did the second half this past Saturday." Yeah, I think Carolina on defense needs to keep attacking. Look, bend but don't break works. But if you can't tighten in the red zone and stop people and get off the field, you're better off just attacking, you know. And I think the defensive players for Carolina actually look more comfortable playing that than they are kind of waiting back and hoping they don't make a mistake. I think that when you look at, you know, what happened in the second half against Charlotte, there was a much more confident defensive football team.
Oh, yeah, a lot more aggressive up front too. That's
aggressive, and it kind of all snowballs because when you can get pressure and you can be disruptive and you're attacking, you know, guys get their hands up, they tip passes, people are. I mean, it was really that looked like the defense I think I expected. Now, and Charlotte's not a bad offensive team. Obviously, if you look at the first half, 7 for 7 on first downs, they've scored on just about everybody. But I thought that was a sign of progress, but. At the same time, it comes down to, you know, how Clayton White and the defensive staff wants to attack. I'll say this about South Carolina State. They have not been able to run the ball that good. Now, a little bit of it's misleading because UCF was the first game. They overwhelmed them. The second game at Bethune-Cookman, they did run it well. Irmo's Kentrell Flowers, who's their top back, 153 yards for 16 carries and a 33-9 win. Last week against North Carolina A&T, Flowers was out. The Bulldogs only had 12 rushing yards. So that's like that scene in Animal House, 0.0.
0.0.
Yeah. You know, Rattler had Daniel, you mentioned the short passing game. And looking up, watching it again and again. I watched it 2 or 3 times. Some people had the takeaway that, a little bit disappointed with Spencer's game. I think Spencer needed a game like that where it wasn't on him to go out and press. I honestly think the idea against Charlotte was the same thing as the idea against Georgia State. South Carolina just got no perimeter blocking and had no run game against Georgia State. Which I don't know. I don't know what happened in that one. I'm going to go back and look at it after this season's over. I'm going to flush it.
You would hope a good, clean game from Spencer would kind of boost his confidence, even though we didn't see him chuck it all over the yard. But he was very efficient with the football. I mean, that's exactly what you're looking for a quarterback to do, is not make any mistakes or errors that are going to kill you in the long run.
Very efficient, 17 for 23, and they attacked on the outside, short passes, and then let your athletes go to work. I mean, that's what happened. And kudos to the receivers and whoever else was out there blocking, because they did. They did. So I think that's it. Now, are they going to do I think a short passing attack against Kentucky is what's going to win the game? Well, in the odd chance that South Carolina can run the ball, I think that they're susceptible to that. If you remember a few years back, in that brutal home loss of 2017, Jake Bentley completed 16 straight passes. So they give you the short stuff. The problem is they tighten in the red zone, and they're trying to keep you out of the from scoring touchdowns. I think they're the best way to attack Kentucky is do what they did, and this was not successful. But hear me out, okay? In 2018, that was one of Jake's worst games. But it was the same game plan they had against Clemson later that year, and they connected. Jake just missed a ton of passes down the field. He hooked up with Debo on one, and it was a touchdown. So I think attacking Kentucky's defense vertically is good, and I also think that being able to run the ball against those guys is awfully helpful. I mean, because getting out game 224-40 last year. That's not going to work. They'll get blown out in Lexington. So, whether or not they work on vertical passing tonight or not, and if the wind stays around 15 miles an hour, I don't think that's going to affect Spencer's arm. I think they're going to have to do some of that next week. But we'll see what happens. I think it's just all about building confidence and, playing your very best. I wrote that in an article today. Go play your best. You should try to play your best every game, and the next week go play better. Colin says it's Thursday in South Carolina. Welcome to Williams-Brice. It's Thursday in South Carolina. Welcome to Williams-Brice. Good morning, fellas. Getting ready to go to my third game of the year, and I'm pumped. I hope everybody who can make it does. Yeah, Brian, and look, it was interesting this week, Phil, because you move a game in the middle of the week, that's going to affect attendance, and I'm this is the fourth time this has happened to South Carolina one way or the other since 2015, right? Whether it's cancellation, moving it back a day, moving it to another venue, and this time it moves up. I just noticed a different attitude among the fan base. These people, the folks that couldn't go because of work, they just couldn't get out of their plans. They were like, "Hey, I got free tickets. I've got tickets for $5. Somebody take these." And it's. I sense, I don't know. I mean, people are going to gripe and complain when they don't play well, and they're going to nitpick and stuff. But among the fan base itself, I called it a sense of renewal this morning on 107.5. A renewal. That's a good word, because it's back to being that old Gamecock fan base we all knew.
Pack the stadium out as much as you can. It was interesting because somebody this week did one of the outfits. Put together the stadium capacity, or no, not state, but attendance study for this year, and said numbers are still low year over year, and they've been declining. But sitting back reading it, like, well, we sold out Williams-Brice 3 times already, so it's not us.
And Bratton said, Bratton from that SEC podcast, kind of, Lane Kiffin's been talking about attendance at Ole Miss. I mean, there's 5A high schools in Alabama that seat more people than Vaught Hemingway, right? But right. He's been trying to get the Rebels to show up, but Carolina's been fine. And Carolina's like one of 2 or 3 teams to sell out everything so far.
Yeah, to be over that 96%.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So that was great. Craig says those bells. Yeah. Oh. Xavier says happy Monday from Omak, Washington this morning, guys. Another one of our Pacific Northwesterners. 45-10 South Carolina. Clint says he loves the Fulton call of Bennett over the top. I do too, but I like the Larry Munson call of it better. I know that's sacrilege, but Munson said they're in that inverted wishbone, like the power right thing. And Tannehill up to the line, 7, 6. Lay down, you guys. 4, 3. Lay down. South Carolina's going to try to get a playoff. Tannehill up to the line. Tannehill going to give it a bit, and he scores on the last play of the game. We couldn't keep him down long enough. Yeah, Larry Munson was amazing.
Yeah, sometimes the opposing radio calls are just as good.
The best opposing radio call I've ever heard, except for my sadistic side when Carolina would beat Clemson back in the day, and I'd listen to Jim Phillips, the late Jim Phillips, and then whoever else, Pete Hannity and Will Merritt and those guys. I like Will Merritt and Pete Hannity quite a bit, but and the guy they got down, Munson. I mean, South Carolina just hasn't beaten them in a while. But
I'm just listening to the post game after a win. Yeah, we need to bring that.
Yeah, you got to listen to the opposing teams calling show. Listen, but they just thrive in their misery. But the best opposing broadcast I've ever. I thought it was funny. Alabama has a guy named Eli Gold that also calls NASCAR. And I like listening to him because on Sunday afternoon, you turn on a NASCAR race on the TV, you can take it out. But if you turn on a radio broadcast of a NASCAR game or a race, you're really going to sleep hard. I mean, seriously, because I don't know what was the motion of the cars or whatever, because I'm not a big NASCAR guy. But Eli Gold, Alabama, he's got this really voice like this, and the kick 6 happened. And he's 15 to the 10 to the 5, and Auburn's going to win the Iron Bowl. It's like stunned. Whereas the Auburn folks, Auburn's going to win the game. Auburn, oh my God! One of them in the middle of it goes, "Oh my God!"
It's like you're sitting in his living room.
Yeah, I was at the South Carolina Clemson game that day when that happened, and one of my friends that pulls for Auburn just sent me a text. Oh my God! Oh my God! Anyway, oh my God! But that's my favorite because it was just like Eli Gold, the consummate professor. He's trying to kind of hold it together, and it's just like, oh,
and just can't believe what happened.
Yeah, shocking. Clint's talking about the game. The shark. There was a shark in a neighborhood yesterday. Yeah, Krager at the hurricane. Craig says 48-9 Gamecocks. Clint says 41-13 Gamecocks. Short game with a lot of rushing attempts. Andrew Power goes 52-10. Beamer is a style points guy when given the opportunity.
Andrew, you stole my thunder, man. I'm about an hour away from making that exact same prediction.
Hey, leave it to Andrew Power to do that. Will says 52-17 Gamecocks. Andrew says, JC, who do you like for the Georgia Tech job? Deion Sanders, Bill O'Brien, Dan Mullen. JB Chadwell. Put Chad. That's not in any order. Put Chadwell. I almost would go Chadwell over Sanders. O'Brien, I would worry. Would probably have 2 or 3 good years and jump back to the league, and then you're screwed again. Dan Mullen would be interesting because I think he would win there and not leave because he's just not. He's not a very good interviewer, Right. I mean, he was in Mississippi State way too long, but I think he could win there. And then Deion, we've talked about. So, hey, Andrew, if you want to listen to the JC and Morgan College Football podcast this week, we had about a good 20-30 minutes on that job and the different coaches. John says 66-13 Gamecocks. Got to get Spencer working the deep ball. That's similar to our friend Chris Phillips from the Spurs Up Show. He said he called it 66-10. In writing.
Yeah.
In writing. So that's bold when you just put it out in meme format.
He did. He put it out there. Yep.
Yeah. Ryan says he wants to see the defense flying around. The Fire Ants reborn. Craig asked if Doc is high.
Are you high yet?
J-Rock beats 45-14 Gamecocks. Jared says 59-7 too aggressive. I think the defense give up a big play to the good wide receiver, Shaquan Davis. Yeah, Shaquan had a kind of a breakout game last week. 6 catches, 127 yards. He has caught a touchdown pass in every game. He caught one pass against Bethune-Cookman, but it went for 87 yards and a touchdown. Clint says Spencer needs to get go though, because there will be a game at some point that it will be on him. Yeah, arguably the Arkansas game they put on his shoulders, but there were some other issues there. Saunders checking in from Charleston. Saunders, be careful down there. That storm's probably going to hit. It'll be not as bad a tropical storm, so be careful down there. 41-13, he says. Krager says play good for 4 quarters. That's what I say. Play your very best.
Yeah.
Play your very best. People always talk about that. Just go play your best. Let's play your best. Clint says Larry was the greatest. Lay down, dogs. Lay down, you guys. And then at the end, he goes, we couldn't keep them on the ground long enough. By the way, Brian has 4 free tickets if anyone needs. So if you, how do we do this?
Well, Brian, you could send us an email at insidethegamecocks@gmail.com, and then anybody that wants them could also do the same, and we'll put you together.
Yeah, that'll be good. Thanks, Phil. Doc says, old Pete, he plays some pool, of course, never beat me. All good. I don't know what that means. Krager says Eli Gold had a health issue recently. Yeah. John says, best men's basketball call ever. Andy Demetrius' elevated detonated call. When Sedarius came down the lane and dunked on virtually every Clemson person in the gym, bits of orange scattered across the floor. Yeah, that was at Greenville at the well.
Yep.
Because Clemson played Carolina. Clemson played their home games there that year while they were revitalizing or redoing Little John, and so that was quite a dunk. For the Gamecocks. And that good. And then a good win. Gamecocks have never they've actually got another game in Greenville this year. December 17th, they're having a triple header. Gamecocks, Furman, and Clemson play 3 different teams. Gamecocks play East Carolina. And keep in mind, Carolina's 3-0 all time, including 2 big wins over Marquette and Duke in the NCAA tournament at the Bon Secours Wellness Arena. So if you're in Greenville, get to go out and see GG Jackson, man.
That's right, show up.
Jared says Saul Thomas Brown's name on the list for Georgia Tech. I don't think this sounds crazy. I don't think he'll take it because I think Thomas is going to get an NFL head coaching job. He's a Georgia guy. Now, who knows, right? He is from Tucker in Atlanta and all that, but I think he's about to get a head coaching job in the National Football League. The National Football League, like legitimately, because he's coached there for several years. Doc says, I'm always high looking down at Sears Tower. I can see Sears Tower on a clear day from
Andy, really? Oh, yeah.
Sort of down the road. There's a big field in my neighborhood. You can kind of see the horizon.
They call it something different now, though, don't they? It's not Sears Tower anymore, is it?
And that's the Willis Tower. What you talking about, Willis?
What you talking about, Willis?
So, Corey says, I heard there's a storm warning for the university right now. Is there a chance it's going to affect tonight being canceled? No, there's no rain in the forecast. 1% chance, just 15-mile-an-hour winds. It's a tropical storm warning for the coast, and it's not supposed to get there till Friday early a.m. So not even any rain, Corey, tonight. So I don't think it's going to. They're playing. They're playing as of right now. Clint says, I was at the game. That was a nasty dunk. Joel says, why can you not trust a guy named Chris? Because if Chris will cross applesauce, what will he do to you? That's my middle name. Some know me by that name, don't they, Phil?
Yes, sir. Yes,
That's
sir.
a hell of a name, right?
Yep.
Chris says Dale Wilkes is going to get a job soon. Are you guys all with Doc passing it around right now? Is that?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, everybody
going on.
Game day. Everybody's getting ready. Pre-game.
By the way, more sad news from yesterday. R.I.P. Coolio.
Yeah,
dude. Man, how's your better half holding up about about that.
Well, we've been going through lyrics all morning.
Yeah, I figured out that's going to hit home in the Mullinax house.
Oh, yeah.
I remember when Prince and Bernie Mac passed as well. I mean, and we all three were very distraught about it. So, no, he said, so Kreger meant Del McGee. Now, Del McGee is a different story. Del McGee is former high school coach at Columbus Carver. I don't think he's so much tied to Georgia as he works at Georgia. So Del McGee could be an interesting candidate there. But those are Andrew asked my picks for the Georgia Tech job. That's who I think they need. Now look, you can hire a Del McGee or a Thomas Brown. They can come in there and recruit. That's fine. My thing is you got to give them the resources to get great coordinators, and you got to make sure they do. Okay. Honestly.
Have they shown a willingness to spend prior? Yeah.
If you're going to hire a recruiter, you need to back him up with some football guys. So that's it. Sonder does have a nice little RIP Coolio, one of the OG Hot Ones interviews.
Mm-hmm.
And Sonder says it's going to be rainy down in Charleston. Nothing to worry about. All right, cool.
Yeah, it won't be near as bad as a direct hit. Fortunately, it didn't swing wide and then come back. But yeah,
it's not that. So, all right, Keith Allsup from the Locked on the Gamecocks podcast, who normally joins us on Monday, is going to join us on Thursday today on the game day edition, our first ever and game day episode of Inside the Gamecocks, the show. We will be right back after these messages with Keith. So hold on to your hats, everyone. The Cockfather is about to be in the studio.
Just as your State Farm agent combines good neighbor service with surprisingly great rates, you can combine your home, auto, life, or small business insurance with Tony Pope State Farm Insurance today. And guess what you'll get? That's right, even more good neighbor service with surprisingly great rates. In fact, Tony Pope State Farm is your go-to agent anywhere in South Carolina, North Carolina, or Georgia for the service you deserve at the price you want. So try combining your home, life, auto, and or small business insurance today. Tony Pope State Farm has been in business for more than 30 years and can handle anything you need in the tri-state area. Once again, Tony Pope State Farm will help you mix and match perfectly. Call 843-851-2222 or visit TonyPope.com today. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
If you're a listener, you know I feel strongly that if you're in the upstate and are in need of real estate services, Cindy Searfoss is your go-to person. Searfoss of Caldwell Banker Kane can help you with any of your realty needs right there in the upstate of South Carolina, Greenville, Spartanburg, Anderson, Oconee, Pickens, wherever you are. Cindy can help you with that. She's married to a diehard Gamecock fan, has been in the upstate for more than 35 years. Right there in my hometown of Spartanburg, Daniel Morgan Avenue. Contact Cindy, 864-414-5271, or email csearfoss, CSEARFOSS, at cbcaine.com, CBCAINE. That's Cindy Searfoss, a proud sponsor of the Inside the Gamecocks podcast. Check her out. We've already gotten several emails from listeners that are very impressed with her professionalism and her ability to help you with your real estate needs. 864-414-5271, Cindy Searfoss of Caldwell Banker Kane.
If you're looking to sell or buy multifamily property right here in South Carolina, the Burgesson team of RE/MAX at the Lake can help you get to closing fast and easy. Adam and Derek Burgesson both are very proud Gamecocks and are more than happy to assist you with any of your commercial real estate needs all across the state. You can email Adam at aburgesson@remax.net. That's ABERGESON@remax.net to get your next deal underway. The Burgesson team, proud sponsors of Inside the Gamecocks.
Family vacations, a new car, a new boat, all cost money, but you don't necessarily have to make more to afford any of that if you can save cash that's flying out the window now. iHelp Consulting can help you finally get the kids to Disney World, upgrade the minivan, or drop that new boat in the water next summer. Let Daniel and iHelp Consulting consult with you. No fees, just savings. You pay them a percentage of those savings. Save on essential services, credit card fees, you name it. Let them find it. These folks are incredible. iHelpConsulting.com. How can I help you?
Attention golfers of all ages and skill sets. Former Gamecock golfer Meredith Taylor will be a full-time golf instructor in the Midlands of South Carolina very, very soon. You want to take advantage of this opportunity. If you're like me and you got to get a whole lot better at golf, or even if you're looking to refine your swing, Meredith is the person you need to go to. She's competing in her final USGA Mid-Amateur Tournament this summer before going full-time into teaching and coaching individuals. If you're in South Carolina, Meredith will be conducting in-person golf lessons at the Country Club of Lexington, half-hour, hour, on course. She'll play 9 or 18 with you. If you're out of state, though, this is really exciting. She'll be conducting virtual lessons. You can send in your swing for her expert analysis. Also, in November, she'll launch an online course with video instruction for all ages and skill levels. Meredith has 20-plus years of knowledge, former SEC golfer, all of that. So contact her on Twitter at MerTaylor, at MERTAYLOR, or go to McKellarEnterprises.org. McKellar spelled MCKELLAR, Enterprises.org. Her email's on the website, so you can connect with her for any other questions. Go get your golf game in order. Take advantage of Meredith Taylor and her services.
Yep, time to get back to the show. Shoot. All right, my man.
Welcome back to Inside the Gamecocks, the show, everyone. We're joined by Keith Allsup from Locked on the Gamecocks podcast. He joins us on the McKellar Enterprises guest line. And, of course, we're brought to you by Manscaped. Remember, 20% off and free shipping with the code BIGSPUR at manscaped.com. Morning, Keith. How you doing?
Hey, guys. Good morning. You definitely need your Manscaped for your big spur.
That's right. That's right.
As always. I mean, yeah, it's normal. Yeah, always.
The tree stands taller when you trim the hedges.
It makes it. Did you just say, hold on, repeat that, Phil?
Said the tree stands taller when you keep the hedges trimmed, man.
All right, Keith. Jeez. That's funny. All right, so we didn't get to talk to you on Monday. Just give us kind of your general thoughts about Charlotte leading into this game, kind of what you're seeing, what you're feeling, what you're thinking. Just give us the raw take heading into, right now in terms of South Carolina.
Well, my throat has been raw all week. And so if I start coughing, you guys, I apologize for that. This is only the second conversation I've had all week, and both of them have been with JC. So it's been a perfect week for my wife. No noise coming out of the office on Saturday night. No dog cussing. None of that. But I was still here to, basically just lay around. Honestly, looking back on the Charlotte game, the thing that stood out to me was just that Will Healy carved Clayton White up in the first half. I mean, JC, Charlotte started 7 of 7 on third down, 3 for 3 in the first quarter. They hit their first 4 third down conversions in the second quarter. And shoot, they had the lead. South Carolina gets a ball and Marshawn Lloyd has a bunch of good runs, and you get in the red zone and Marcus Satterfield's big brain just froze, I guess. You have to settle for a field goal. And zip, 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 slant after slant, RPO. I thought the first half, I was really more upset with Clayton White than in the defense, and a defensive front, by the way, which continues to underperform and mightily underperform in my performance. But I also think it just shows you how bad South Carolina missed on their evaluation of their linebackers heading into this season. And here's why, is there were several really good linebackers, and 2 or 3 of them with ties to the state of South Carolina that play at other SEC schools that would have loved to have chosen South Carolina and transferred in January. And Clayton White said, nope, we're good. And outside of Mo Kaba, who's now not going to play anymore, they're not good. Brad Johnson has not been very good. Sherrod Green is certainly not the player he was before those injuries. And then you're depending on Debo Williams, who I like a lot, but I don't think ever going to be an SEC caliber starter because I just don't think he has the foot speed. And Stone Blanton's been banged up, and I do think he could be a heck of a player down the line. But I think passing on a Tyrone Hopper, who was the second leading tackler at Florida, whose grandmother still lives in Gaffney from Roswell, Georgia, and he's at Missouri now, and Jalen Moody, who went in the portal because he wanted to come home, and you said, nope, we're good. He's starting at Alabama right now. And to me, and JC, I said it on my show every time you came on when we talked about it. Off air, we had many conversations about it. I thought South Carolina needed to shore up their depth at linebacker, and they did not do it, and they are paying the price for it right now on defense.
Yeah, look, I said I think that they need to attack on defense. I think the whole thing, he got carved up because he's too passive. I think he's worried about getting carved up, and that's happened a couple of times. I think in the second half when they started getting after it a little bit because, okay, so Brad Johnson, well, what does he do best? Well, he gets after the passer. He's a very straight line guy, attack guy. He's not a big lateral guy. I think they got to continue to take chances. I mean, you can bend but don't break, Keith, in my opinion. But you got to tighten in the red zone. And for 6 straight quarters of football, actually 10, Carolina has not tightened in the red zone, and teams have just methodically gone down the field on them. And that's more demoralizing to me than giving up like a big pass play or having a busted coverage. And these guys on this defense too, I think they like playing that style. I mean, they're pretty good at like tipping passes and getting their hands in the air. You know, I completely agree with you. I tweeted out around halftime in the Charlotte game. I was like, this defensive line has no more excuses at South Carolina, and they did play better the second half. But there was a change in philosophy there, and you know, I understood but let me back up. You always understand the explanation and the logic, but that doesn't mean you necessarily agree with it. So I understood the logic behind not taking Moody and not pursuing Hopper. But, boy, those two pretty good players. And I think they they felt like Mo Kaba would make a big difference, but then lo and behold, he gets hurt.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you have to understand the philosophy or the why, because all you have to do is look at it. And, you know, look, the difference in the game was Charlotte's quarterback got banged up, and South Carolina did attack. But, I mean, we are talking about Charlotte here. One in 3 Charlotte coming in the game. Okay, you can attack and overwhelm them, but your personnel should be good enough to play your base defense and send 4 and sit there and dominate them. Okay, if you have to, when you attack SEC offenses, you may have some success, but you're not going to attack an SEC offense, maybe outside of Vanderbilt, and get away with it like they did against Charlotte. To me, that's the concerning part. I mean, maybe it's just going to take Sherrod Green a couple more games. I don't know. The defensive front has used up all their mulligans, in my opinion. Look, on offense, it's really, JC, it's like Spencer Rattler said in the post game. They really didn't have to throw the ball because Charlotte had the worst defense in the country, and South Carolina still came 20 yards under what they were giving up on season average. South Carolina had 545 yards of total offense. Charlotte was giving up like 563. And, South Carolina also got turnovers, which gave them a short field, which was very favorable. And then, Marshawn Lloyd could jump over a guy or run through a guy and then run past a guy, because on defense, it looked like they had Mo, Larry, Curley, me, you, Bill, Little, Hale McGlanahan, and Ben Brymer out there.
Oh yeah, that personnel not that good in Charlotte. I think they got to give, now that Stone's back and healthy, you got to give him a lot of reps. And I don't. Debo Williams, I know he's probably not going to win a race. I think it's a matter of him continuing to get more comfortable, because when he dissects plays, there's no speed issue when he's going in a straight line. But as we all know, you play linebacker sideline to sideline, and he gets caught up sometimes and can't recover. But I think he's better. He's much faster than Damani Staley and closes much better than Damani Staley. So I think he's got a shot. Sherrod has not played as well as he did before he got hurt the previous 2 years. I think they need Blanton to play. I'm intrigued by Bam Martin Scott a little bit, Keith. I think that guy does some really good things at linebacker. But, I would almost right now with the situation at edge, you hate to do it to the guy because he's moved all over the place in his career, but I'd almost consider throwing, what's his name? Brad back to edge, because I think he's a much better choice at that spot because he's old. He's an old man and he's strong and he's got that old man strength, the grown man strength. And Brian Thomas is just a pup, a young pup. So it has given up about 70 pounds. So I don't know if maybe they'll do that or not, but that's kind of what I would consider do. And like Easy says he thinks it's a stretch to want Clayton White gone at this point. And I don't think Clayton's a good coordinator.
That didn't come out of my mouth. I'm not saying
that. Well, I think well, no, on the chat box, Happy said the coordinator's got to go. I don't think that on especially on Clayton. I think that he needs. Well, he needs better coaching at certain positions, and we'll leave it at that. And I think he also needs to be more aggressive and take more chances. And I think his defense during the time he's been at South Carolina, if you look at the beginning of last year, they took a lot of chances in some of those games, like East Carolina, games like that. And then as the year went on, I think it may have been to protect the offense a little bit, to be honest. They sat back. And this year, just dying the slow death that they have, not being able to get off the field. I mean, you can limit the big plays all you want, but what's the difference if they're chewing up 8 minutes off the clock and when they get in the red zone, you don't tighten? You're giving up the same little plays that you did all the way chuck down the field. So I agree with you there and all that. So this game tonight, what do you want to see, Keith? What is your ideal deal?
Well, I think it's really fortuitous for South Carolina to play on Thursday. Now, it does look like the wind is going to be a major factor. Like, I would have really liked to seen you fine-tune your passing game offensively. We'll see if that happens when you do have the wind to try to, get Spencer Rattler going. I'd really like to see you be more creative and get him out of the pocket, to give him a clean look, give him a rollout with a high-low option and maybe a deep ball on the backside. But defensively, number one for South Carolina State, Shaq Davis is out of Summerville High School. And he's a guy that's going to play on Sundays and will probably be one of the 3 or 4 best wide receivers, in my opinion, that South Carolina fans will see all season. I want to see who gets that matchup and how they fare on defense, because, I mean, Shane Beamer just flat out, he called out O'Donnell, Soldier of Fortune, last week with getting the ball thrown over his head.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's who it was, and he was clearly perturbed about it, and he harped on it. And it is inexcusable. But I can promise you, you know, Brock Bowers is not a wide receiver. And Trey Knox is now a tight end. You know, other than Jaden Hazelton or Hazelwood, whatever, I always get that mixed up. Shaq Davis is probably going to be the most talented wide receiver the secondary's faced up until this point. And, you know, how did they do? Because, you know, Deion Sanders last year at Jackson State found out about Shaq Davis.
Mm-hmm.
They had Primetime had no answer. And so I really want to see that. And then I just want to see, is South Carolina locked in all 3 phases? Because they were not locked in on defense to start that game Saturday night. And now with a short week, you just have to wonder, you know, with Marcus Satterfield, who we're always wondering about, what's in the game plan, and on a short week, what are you doing? Are you going to do too much, or are you going to let your guys play? How are you going to do it? But for me, South Carolina needs to come out and put these guys away in the first half and be dominant and impose their will on both lines of scrimmage.
Talking with Keith Allsup from the Locked on the Gamecocks podcast. Yeah, I think Carolina's got a big advantage on both lines of scrimmage. Something tells me Christian Beal Smith may have a big game tonight. I thought that was the first time we've really seen him get out there and run last week. And NC State, look, 297 rushing against against UCF, and it wasn't all Plumlee. 191. They gave up 191 rushing yards against Bethune-Cookman in a win. And then last week, North Carolina A&T outrushes them 284-12. Now, they didn't have Kentrell Flowers last week, which is their leading rusher, the kid from Irmo. But, boy, they have not been able to run the ball or stop the run. And I think when you look at it, it makes sense to do that. I also think that if the wind is gusting up to 35 miles an hour, if the wind's just kind of like a 10-mile-an-hour deal, I think Rattler's got enough velocity to slice right through it. But I don't know about 30 and 40, right? So that's going to be interesting to see kind of what the approach to the pass game is. But I do think Carolina can go out and pile up rushing yards and impose their will on the lines of scrimmage.
Yeah, I mean, to me, that's the key. But you want to show improvement. Okay, offensively, you ran the ball. I thought Rattler was very efficient running the ball. You know, they had a penalty down there that kind of, I guess it blew a play dead, that Juice Wells was going to catch a touchdown pass, and he kind of relaxed, and the guy knocked it out of his hands.
Mm-hmm.
But you want to me, every week, particularly like the get right games in tonight, okay? If you don't have it right after this week, I mean, I guess you got to, open date after Kentucky before 4-loss Jimbo rolls into town. But, I mean, statistically, South Carolina's offense is better through 4 games than it was last year. Well, it should be. I mean, you've tremendously upgraded at quarterback, at wide receiver. Marshawn Lloyd is has been in beast mode at times. And so you should be much better offensively. But until Charlotte rolled in, you had no turnovers, right? And Charlotte gifted you like 3 in a row there that really made the difference in the game. So I want to see, how many turnovers do you get? And then the biggest thing, JC, is how do these 2 weeks, how do they translate moving forward? Okay. You got beat by Georgia 48-7. So what? The now what is what really matters. You knew you were going to be 3-2 coming out of these games. But how did these 2 weeks affect you getting right and impact the rest of your season?
Yeah, I think it's about confidence, and it's about getting into a rhythm. I think it's about gelling on the offensive line. I don't know about you, Keith. I thought I sort of, based on the small body of work I've seen this year from Moore, and then the 2 years of work I've seen from Wanamaker, I think those guys are better than those other guys. I mean, I want to see a little more from Ja'Kai, but I just they play better. The line plays better when they're in. I know they're not blocking Georgia, but I didn't think the line against Georgia, they didn't get a push, but they weren't completely overwhelmed and dominated, like they've looked in some other games this year. So I don't know what you think about those tackles, but I kind of am looking forward to seeing what they do, and then heading into Kentucky, what happens.
I mean, I like Wanamaker. I like Ja'Kai Moore. Again, it's hard to get an evaluation based off Charlotte, JC, because Charlotte, I mean, they look like they had Wally Burnham, Whammy, and John Hoke all coaching their defense at the same time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's hard to tell. I mean, I think I could have looked pretty good blocking against.
I don't know, man. I've seen these guys look terrible against some teams that before, though. I mean, last year, man. I've seen it against. I'll take a good half against bad competition. How about that? I think another key, Keith, like to your point, complete game. Last week the first half was not good. I mean, it looked like a struggle against a team that you should blow the doors off of, right? I'm looking for 2 halves of football. I mean, they haven't put a whole complete game together yet this year, regardless of opponent.
I mean, look, when you're in a 1-minute situation, you have to be aware of the clock. Okay. And I did not think, I thought that was a hell of a play down there. I guess maybe it's the one before Jalen Brooks took the screen, or maybe I'm confusing because of all the medicine I've been on. But right before the half, South Carolina had a play, and they let almost 30 seconds run off the clock, and they wound up having to kick a field goal because they did not know the guy was out of bounds or not out of bounds, and they had all 3 timeouts. Okay, you don't get a bonus money for saving your timeouts, and they certainly don't carry over. And, somebody up in the press box, somebody's got to be watching that guy winding the clock.
Mm-hmm.
And, I thought that was a miscue because you really wanted 7 there, not 3, and you had to settle for 3. Because you let almost 30 seconds run off the clock when you had 3 timeouts. You were not out of timeouts. You were not at 1 timeout where you wanted to save that in case you got in trouble. They had all 3 timeouts, and they let 30 seconds run off the clock. Now, I stand on the sideline by high school coaches and on Wednesday and Thursday JV coaches, and Well, I hadn't seen that so far this year.
Yeah, I get you there. You got to do that. There's a lot to be desired. All right, Keith, we got to wrap up with you here. Hour number 1 of the final episode of the show this week. You got a score prediction for tonight, man? Everybody's giving score predictions.
I mean, I think it'll be. I mean, if you're South Carolina, you want to break the clock. I mean, you want to. I mean, I've been in that stadium, I guess, when they scored the most points ever.
Mm-hmm.
I think I was against
Kent State.
Was that
the first time it was Wichita State.
No, I was there for that too.
Kent State was 77.
That was Willie Jeffries. Kent State was at the 77-13.
Yeah, 77-14. Yeah.
I was at that game. I mean, I think South Carolina probably wins 59-17.
59-17. Keith Allsup on the record. Yeah, that probably means Shaquan Davis gets loose and has a really good game if SC State's able to put 17 on the board tonight. But they're going to come play hard. And I think SC State will have a couple of Bennett Swagger will have a couple of tricks up his sleeves to maybe get some in there. All right, Keith. Well, hey, we're hopeful that you're better next week so we could get your Monday cannonball take on the game. All that is very popular.
You got a lot of former Gamecocks. Buddy Pugh, who recruited a lot of really good players to South Carolina and was a great running backs coach. He found Dante Robinson because of one of his fraternity brothers. And he was more of a track guy. He turned out to be a top 10 pick in the NFL draft. You got Bennett Swigert, who's from Somerville, who had injuries and and Nashawn Goddard, who South Carolina got out of Ohio, who's played in the NFL, who I think is a rising star as an offensive line coach. And I think Bennett does a great job as well. And so for the Bulldogs and my dearly departed friend, JJ Bulldog, Jimmy Johnson, let's just hope the Bulldogs come out healthy and have a heck of a great rest of their season.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. I like I'll pull for SC State. I love to see him take it to Coach Prime last year too. He didn't know what hit him. Yeah, all right, Keith. Let's talk to you Monday, buddy. Hold down the fort, and we'll holler at you soon.
All right, I'm gonna go rest my voice and drink some tea and get ready to do my podcast. You guys have the best of the week.
Thanks. And of course, that is thanks, Keith, the Locked on the Gamecocks podcast. You can go actually become a patron and check out Keith every single day. If you go to patreon.com/Locked on the Gamecocks, we certainly have a lot of people that listen to that. And certainly that's a good product. We want you to listen to everybody. We want you to listen to Tito's and Chicken, the Spurs Up Show, Locked on the Gamecocks. But of course, me and Phil.
Right. I mean, we're here. Yeah.
Yeah, we're here. We're awesome.
We're here every day for you.
A little jarring to hear Keith's review of the game today, I think. But
if you don't want some straight home truths, you don't invite Keith on the show.
Yeah. Carolina Titan says, LOL, Keith is a straight savage. I love his honesty. Yeah, he's in the zone that way, too. So he's pretty good. And we're going to get back, have a coordinator discussion. We got a bunch of predictions rolling in for the Gamecocks at SC State. Hour number 2, just us chatting with each other, chatting with you, chatting about the game on a game day episode of Inside the Gamecocks, the show. It's rare that this will happen. Yeah. But, if Carolina ever plays for the SEC or national championship, me and Phil are going to show up in tuxedos and broadcast live from the site, so you can get used to that. Anyway, we'll be back second hour right here inside the Gamecocks show after these messages. If you're a listener, you know I feel strongly that if you're in the upstate and are in need of real estate services, Cindy Searfoss is your go-to person. Searfoss of Caldwell Banker Kane can help you with any of your realty needs right there in the upstate of South Carolina, Greenville, Spartanburg, Anderson, Oconee, Pickens, wherever you are. Cindy can help you with that. She's married to a diehard Gamecock fan, has been in the upstate for more than 35 years. Right there in my hometown of Spartanburg, Daniel Morgan Avenue. Contact Cindy, 864-414-5271, or email csearfoss, CSEARFOSS, at cbcaine.com, CBCAINE. That's Cindy Searfoss, a proud sponsor of the Inside the Gamecocks podcast. Check her out. We've already gotten several emails from listeners that are very impressed with her professionalism and her ability to help you with your real estate needs. 864-414-5271, Cindy Searfoss of Caldwell Banker Kane.
If you're looking to sell or buy multifamily property right here in South Carolina, the Burgesson team of RE/MAX at the Lake can help you get to closing fast and easy. Adam and Derek Burgesson both are very proud Gamecocks and are more than happy to assist you with any of your commercial real estate needs all across the state. You can email Adam at aburgesson@remax.net. That's ABERGESON at remax.net to get your next deal underway. The Burgesson team, proud sponsors of Inside the Gamecocks.
Hey, man, are you sick and tired of your business computer guy?
Yes, he takes forever to call me back and doesn't always respond to the requests.
Yeah, same here. I'm paying him good money. I constantly have issues, and I'm worried he's not backing up my network and securing it properly.
Oh, I feel that, man. My head hurts, but I have a good lead on a good idea. I'm calling your boy Matthew Odom today from Heritage Digital. Heritage Digital is an IT firm that specializes in making sure your IT network runs like a dream. If you have 1 or 500 employees, it doesn't matter. They do it all for one monthly fee and have clients from South Carolina all the way to California.
Yeah, I heard that monthly fee's low too, so I don't know why I didn't even think of that. Do you have 843-699-1001 as Matt's contact number?
Yeah, man, I sure do that. Or you can go to heritagedigital.com.
Man, I hear they do a no-cost assessment. Boy, this will help me.
Yeah, I bet.
I'm getting on that and encouraging everyone else to do the same. Heritage Digital, 843-699-1001 or heritagedigital.com, a proud sponsor of Inside the Gamecocks, the show.
Family vacations, a new car, a new boat, all cost money, but you don't necessarily have to make more to afford any of that if you can save cash that's flying out the window now. iHelp Consulting can help you finally get the kids to Disney World, upgrade the minivan, or drop that new boat in the water next summer. Let Daniel and iHelp Consulting consult with you. No fees, just savings. You pay them a percentage of those savings. Save on essential services, credit card fees, you name it. Let them find it. These folks are incredible. iHelpConsulting.com. How can I help you?
Hey, folks, JC here. I've told you about Nana's Porch over and over again. They sponsor our chat box on the show. Don't take my word for it, though. I wanted you to hear from Gamecock pitcher Noah Hall about our sponsor, Nana's Porch. Nana'sPorch.com. Go there. Food truck, catering, whatever you need. Take it away, Noah.
What's up, Gamecock fans? This is pitcher Noah Hall. If you want some delicious food for your event, I suggest visiting Nana'sPorch.com today to find out what they all have to offer. It's really good Southern cuisine based out of Charlotte, my hometown. I hope you guys go check it out. Go Cox and go Nanas.
What's up? This is Jaheim Bell with the Gamecocks, and you're now listening to Inside the Gamecocks show with JC and Phil.
Welcome back to hour 2 of Inside the Gamecocks, the show, everyone. Of course, we are brought to you by Manscaped. Don't forget to use the code BIGSPUR at manscaped.com for 20% off and free worldwide shipping. The second hour of the show is brought to you by the Burgesson team at RE/MAX at the Lake. Contact Adam or Derek for all of your commercial real estate needs. It's A Burgesson, that's BERGESON, at remax.net.
All right.
We found Jaheim Bell. Hopefully they, will be able to find him this evening. It's one of the things I'm concerned about. We don't need a missing Jaheim.
Yeah, don't need to be missing him. All right, so Brian has those tickets for free. All right, so if you want those tickets, inside the Gamecocks at gmail.com. email us in to the I Help Consulting mailbag, and we'll put you in touch with Brian. You guys can do it. They're in East Upper on the 50, so they're pretty good seats.
Oh yeah, not bad.
Not bad at all. So if you want those tickets,
end of the row too. 1, 2, 3, 4. Nice.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, aisle seat.
I know if you're me, I need to sit at the end of that. I'm nervous about going to the Kentucky game because I don't know exactly where those seats are. I haven't kind of looked at the actual seat numbers, but I'll have to get up and step over people and all that 15 different times. And then it's just embarrassing. Anyway,
let's hope we're winning then, because then it won't be quite so much of a chore.
Yeah, and I won't want to get to this, so it's good. All right, inside the Gamecocks at gmail.com that's the I Help Consulting mailbag. We do have a question that I'm going to read from Jonathan. He says, listening to the JC and Morgan podcast, could have sworn you were talking about describing the Gamecocks. We talking about Georgia Tech needing a specialized offense to win and making an iffy coaching hire. If this happens, thoughts? No, I don't think Gamecocks made an iffy coaching hire. I think there's some question about the offense, obviously. As far as South Carolina, Phil, I don't know that it needs to be as specialized as what I'm thinking about for Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech is in a tough spot recruiting wise, just because of their fan base, the money they have. They're in the ACC. They're not relevant in Atlanta. So I think that's it. I think South Carolina needs to be specialized to a certain extent.
Mm-hmm. I think on JC and Morgan, you were talking about like being so specialized that it takes extra or different preparation for the teams, right?
Special prep. And I think South Carolina does need to be a special prep, but it's to a certain extent. I think what Steve Spurrier ran on offense here was great. I thought it was fine. I think if you look at some of the other coaches that have been at South Carolina, Lou Holtz. Okay, so Lou Holtz tries to run something from 1993 at Notre Dame.
That's generous.
And the seasons he did that, he didn't do any better than 6-5. And 1 year he lost every game. But he switched to Skip Holtz's spread offense for those couple of years, and South Carolina moved the ball just fine. I mean, they had a great defense, but just fine. And that's the thing about the Gamecocks too. South Carolina's never been good without being good on defense. The teams with great offenses and bad defenses, the best year was 7-6. And that would probably be 2014, 2018. And then in 1995, great offense, terrible defense. They went 4-6-1. Mm-hmm. So you got to at least have, a good to above average defense. All right. So that's two. And that's just how this program is. You have access to better defensive players in your footprint than offense. But what I don't think you could do is just go out there and run something that, is either overly complicated or it's not something special you have to prep for, like a pro style system. You can't go do what Georgia traditionally has tried to do, or like some of the Big Ten teams. You got to kind of be different. Whether that's with a dual threat quarterback, pro style quarterback, and you have to have something that's and this is one thing that in theory I liked, or that could work about Satterfield's offense as a system, is that it is kind of adaptable to different styles of quarterbacks, different things. They have a pretty robust playbook, all that good stuff. But I just there's questions about that moving forward.
Yeah, but I think, when you're talking about having to specialized preparation, where we have the advantage over, a program like Georgia Tech is we actually can get the recruits in here and the individual, Jimmys and Joes, if you will, you do have to plan around and prepare for. But if you're not using them effectively, then, you kind of lose that advantage.
And sometimes, sometimes you have the ability to run it a lot. So you have South Carolina, even during the Spurrier era, there were games that probably drove him crazy because he couldn't throw the ball. But why do that when you're playing Georgia and they can't stop Marcus Lattimore?
Right. Yeah.
And things like that. So that's the thing there. X-Man Xavier from the Pacific Northwest, he participates on Twitter in the chat box and in the mailbag. He says, my question is, would you rather have these easier games before or after a game like UG? I personally say after, because I feel like if you put up 56, you go into the UGA game thinking you're going to have a great offensive output, then get blanked. That could crush your season. Oh, he said after. At least now you come out of the UGA game and have these games to help reestablish confidence and forget the Georgia game. Your thoughts? I don't know, man. I would have liked to have seen them open with Georgia State, Charlotte, and South Carolina State because you mentioned that word confidence. Phil, and then there's, this is where Keith and I kind of diverge a little bit. I don't care that Charlotte's not that good. I mean, South Carolina's played against defenses the last 2 years that aren't that good that shut them down. Right. I think sometimes it's about getting your players that have the talent to go out there and perform, to have that success and believe. I mean, Marshawn Lloyd now believes he can go out there and run the ball against anybody.
Yeah, you woke up half of your offense last week. Your defense finally woke up, it looks like, in the second half of the game. So for me, I don't know. I wouldn't mind seeing like maybe Georgia State, Charlotte, then play the two, and then have a recoup game heading into Kentucky. That maybe do two, then a couple of big time games, and then play the extra one just to kind of recoup, recover.
Yeah,
but I don't know if I do them all before. Yeah, and yeah, but my biggest concern is that I don't care if we win 77-0 tomorrow or tonight. If we don't put together a complete game and a coherent, balanced offense, right? Don't get creative other than, where you might have some creativity in some of the existing stuff. I don't know. I figure the game plan on the offense probably won't be that different than what we saw last week just because of the short time to prepare. I think it's probably reasonable to think that we're going to try to run the ball all over them. But I'm not going to feel good going into Kentucky if, we don't play a complete game and we don't look like we know what we're doing.
I feel you there. Yeah. All right.
Then you've wasted your, get right opportunities. And that's what I'm worried about.
I get it. I totally get it. All right. More predictions rolling in on the I Help Consulting mailbag. Let me get on Twitter real quick and do this. I'll just go ahead and say we got J-Rock coming in. It says we need to put Cam Smith on Shaquan Davis, have him shadow him the whole game. Agreed.
Yeah, not a bad idea.
J-Rock says 49-7 Gamecocks. Colin says don't care about the score. Just want to see Rattler throw for 350 plus yards. Our receivers need some love. Rattler needs some confidence. I agree. And Colin, I think Spencer got some confidence last week. He says, wishful thinking, I'll say 63-13. Cocky Gaming, he's like, I'm close to happy. I'm thinking 45-10, but it's because we're playing third-string walk-ons halfway through the third quarter. J-Rock says if the run and pass, but we get clicking on all cylinders, it may be 63-7. Saunders says, any chance at all we see Braden Davis, Tanner Bailey, Colton Gauthier, or Daniels? I think Gauthier would go in third is my guess. I don't know. I don't know what the plan would be for that if it gets out of hand. Probably just play Luke Doty. I mean, because he's playing well, keep him happy, all that good stuff. Joe Powell says making the trip to Columbia from Spartanburg. We love Spartanburg here on the show. Mm-hmm. Shout out to the New Way. 77-7. Spartanburg. That's Spartanburg optimism. Lady Bree comes and says, "Hey all." He says, "JC, your conversation about pronouns and stuff yesterday was awesome." I'm going to clip and tweet a huge thanks to you. You handled that extremely well. Well, I mean,
there you go. It was a compliment. Hey, look, those are
that's a compliment. I'm
treacherous waters these days.
I kind of steer clear of those things, but I was like, I probably need to figure that out. Quantrell says, where did the nickname Whammy come from? I always hear Keith say it. I think, if this is correct, I hope I'm not. When he was a DB at Alabama, because he played at Alabama, he would knock your, butt in the dirt. Whammy. It didn't come from Anchorman because he had that before our boy Whammy. Colin says, I'm debating going to Kentucky. Last time I went was the Dylan Thompson pick 6 loss. That was awful. Lots of bourbon up blue people cussing at me that day. Would love revenge. I haven't been since Gosh. 2010. I was in the press box that game. And that obviously stunk. It smelled. Lady says Graybeard Rodriguez will be back this week against Ole Miss. He was suspended for 3 games.
Yeah, we all knew he would be coming back.
Oh, no. I had no doubt in my mind. In fact, I think that game with Ole Miss is when he'll come back. Lady says, I thought Muschamp was a good pickup because we had lost that defensive identity. Yeah, Muschamp, that system is another system that, you have to have talent, a lot of it.
Yeah, he plays a really complex defense. I mean, or puts one together. So it takes a lot of thought, and you do have to have a ton of talent. And I think that we didn't get to see that because he was not. Had he been the DC, it might have been different. But being the head coach, he's got a lot more responsibilities than just getting the defense right. So I don't think that really adjusted itself for us.
And you got to look at that D2, Phil. And, Alabama, their defense isn't as dominant as it used to be. They still have really good players. And it busts. Assignments bust. I think their style of play on offense now sometimes lends itself to giving up more points. Georgia's got the talent, obviously, to play. But, look, they tried to do it at Tennessee. That didn't work. Muschamp did it at Florida relatively well. But you look at when he was at Florida, how many freaking All-Americans they had on that team, on that side of the ball. Offense, not obviously. Michigan State is not terribly good on defense. They're not terribly good on offense this year either because they got blown out by Minnesota. That's Mel Tucker from that same coaching tree. So, you just kind of look at it and it's like, well, I don't know. Even in Florida State's national championship year where, or maybe it was the year after, whatever Pruitt was there for that 1 year, it just wasn't, it wasn't a dominant system. It's because you got bust, you get opportunities down the field. When Ellis Johnson was here, his defense was very, very simple. In fact, he ran it as a high school coach. But what was the difference? Why was that such a good defense? Is because he coached the kids to run it really, really fast.
That's right.
Some of these offenses, like Tennessee's offense, not that complex, but they go really, really fast. And all that. Easy E says Whipple from the Arizona Cardinals would be a good hire for someone. Browse tree offense. Is he?
Mark?
Is it Mark Whipple?
I think it's Mark, isn't it?
Or we're probably talking about another Whipple because Cliff Kingsbury is the coach at Arizona. I'll look that up. Happy says, I'd like to see 2 warm-up games, conference play, tweet game, conference play. I agree. Ryan goes 35-14. Our boy Daniel says, I want to see Bell go off. Easy says, it's windy, and Lloyd can't have 2 good games in a row. Rattler throws it 50 times and Lloyd gets 2 carries. Kidding, sort of. It does seem like you're not allowed to have 2 good games in a row.
Oh, yeah, that's right. It's time for him to disappear.
Titan says, JC, if this game is 35-17, would you be concerned? Yeah. I would.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I would.
Concerned? That's putting it lightly.
Yeah, Muschamp's system didn't work here because we couldn't get the guys to execute it. At Georgia, he has the guys he needs for his system to work. Absolutely. Yeah. And J-Rock says, I loved our defense under Coach Ellis. Defense, you have to play free. And here's the thing about it. And this is why Clayton White came in and lost a lot of players and improved the defense because that defense was playing free, more free than they did the previous year under Muschamp when they gave up a zillion yards and a zillion points. I'll say this. I don't know that this defense has been playing free until the second half against Charlotte this year. It seems that they've been tentative, not wanting to make a mistake, bend but don't break, that kind of thing. And that's not what Clayton White did at Western Kentucky. I mean, it was exotic pressures, and their kids played hard and they knew it and played free. So I don't know what the idea was, the first games, first few games, but I was, second half last week, I looked at it and I said, well, this looks more like the defense that he runs and that's been successful. So hopefully they continue to do that. Easy says, I thought Kingsbury and Browse ran a similar offense when I mentioned the tree. Could be wrong. Sort of, they're both kind of from that. Now, Kingsbury's a Mike Leach guy, but he's incorporated in the NFL a lot of run game and stuff, especially with Kyler Murray, to where because in the NFL you can't run Mike Leach's, go 5 wide every play and run it 6 times. You'll get your butt kicked. So there's similarities with it now, but Kingsbury is a Leach guy, and Browse is a Browse guy.
Yeah.
Still good.
And Whipple, Spencer Whipple is the one at Arizona with Kingsbury right now, who's the son of Mark, who is, of course, the current offensive coordinator, I think, still at Nebraska.
Yeah, he's still there, man. Yeah, 4-4. I tell you what I would do if let's just say it opens. The OC. There's some guys out there. I mean, Kansas's offensive coordinator, really good. Kent State's offensive coordinator, really good. I would maybe steer clear of the NFL just because look, Kentucky's gone to this well twice, and this has nothing to do with the outcome next week. But look at their total offense numbers; they're near the bottom of the league last year. They're near the bottom of their total offense numbers right now are below South Carolina's. I mean, LSU tried to do something similar last year. That was a dumpster fire. The teams that are good on offense in this league either have, pro systems with elite play callers that like Georgia, or a pro system that's been scaled way back, but still like, the Chiefs or the Eagles when they won the Super Bowl with the RPOs or stuff like Bama, or it's the Browse tree guys, and you look, I've said this before, Tennessee, Ole Miss, and Ole Miss, you can't really count them anymore because Levy left, but you look at Tennessee, Ole Miss, Arkansas last year, it's all the same system. They just, certain teams have certain strengths and they play too.
Catered to the personnel. That's you got to cater it to the personnel, because in college you're not guaranteed. You can't go out there and pay a guy $100 million.
Yeah. Quantrell says, what about an offense similar to Air Raid with strong elements of the run? It's the SEC, so I'd never want to abandon the run, but something like that makes South Carolina unique. That's right, Quantrell. I mean, that's what you need. That's what the Browse thing to me is good. I mean, you look at Ole Miss under Lane Kiffin when Levy was there, those guys love to throw the ball, but they would run it at you too. They'd run it all over you if they could. Brian says he was in Lexington in 2018 to have nightmares. Bentley completely stroked out. That was his worst game, I thought, Jake's, at South Carolina. He had a game like that at, I think against maybe Washington State at Utah that wasn't good either. And you guys know I'm a huge Jake fan. I'm not criticizing him. But that, and there were a lot of games that he quarterbacked and lost that he got the blame for. That was completely ridiculous and unfair. It wasn't his fault. But that Kentucky game, they had the right game plan. They're going to attack them vertically, use Debo, Brian Edwards, shot those guys, just like they did against Clemson later that year. They went downtown a lot, and he just misfired. It just happens.
And we saw some of that, I think, again against Arkansas too. It was like he took his shots, like Rattler did.
Rattler, yeah.
I mean, we just missed.
Jared says, if White's using concepts uncharacteristic to his style, do you guys think Beamer's micromanaging the defense?
Doubtful. I doubt that. Yeah, I doubt it.
Doubtful. I mean, head coaches sometimes. Let's just say I'd be kind of disappointed if you're hamstringing the defense because of the offense, because that offense should be better. I mean, there's no question, but I don't think so. Browse, Andrew says, Browse offense came from the Veer originally. It's a bunch of different pass concepts built on top of that. Kingsbury's a modified air raid with little success running the ball. Gotcha. Andrew, it may kind of look the same though, but yeah, the Veer. Yeah, you want to talk about a special prep? You start running some old school Veer and wing T concepts.
Wing T, yeah.
That's why as much crap as Gus got Gus Malzahn from the Auburn folks. When Gus tried to be Steve Spurrier and have a passing quarterback and drop back and, get in the spread, chuck it all over the yard, it never worked. But when he had a guy that could run and you could run those wing T runs and things like that, Nick Marshall, when they played for national championship, that's what you got to have. Cawthorn says, excited to see what Beal Smith and Rucker can add now that both are back. Phil, I talked about this earlier today about Corey Rucker. He did a press conference this week and said, I'm not in good shape right now.
He's still healing. Yeah, he's like, I'm not in the best shape right now.
I'm kind of looking at him, maybe by A&M coming and making more of an impact. Beal Smith, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, it was good to see him get going. I would like to see that continue this evening. Yeah.
Quantrell says, how about Josh Gaddis? I feel like his fit with Tyler Van Dyke is awful. He needs a mobile guy. So Gaddis has always kind of been the guy that works for the guy. I don't know. I know Josh Gaddis a little bit. He was at Vanderbilt when I lived in Nashville, and then went to Penn State with James Franklin, and he's probably going to be a head coach soon too. But I think Carolina probably needs to go look at someplace like the Browse Tree or the guy at Tulsa. Pretty good guy. Maybe look in the lower levels. Who is innovating? Stop looking to the NFL for things, and that's across the board. I know. But hey, you know what? And conceptually, if the play calling got right and all that, then what's in the playbook could work at South Carolina, I think. And I hope it does. I hope we're not even talking. I hope we're talking about.
Oh God, it'd be nice
something else, and going. Because the Gamecocks, if they do turn it around, this team's good enough, folks. They haven't played good enough, but this team's good enough, talented enough to be 7-2, going to the Swamp in November.
Yeah,
just be honest. Will they? Do I consider that a likely scenario? Not at this point, but they're good enough to. They're good enough to beat A&M and Columbia. They are good enough to win at Kentucky. They're good enough to beat Missouri and Vandy, certainly. And then they're good enough to go to Florida, so they could be 8-2 going into Tennessee. Probably won't do it because I need to see more consistency on both sides.
I'm not going to pick it that way right now.
Pick it that way, but yeah. And Andrew makes an excellent point. Then we'll go to break, our final break. And I agree with you. AP here. The innovation comes from really low-level college and high school coaching, or really low-level college and high school coaching. They are the most experimental, and they have to adapt to talent if they want to be successful. That's why,
well, it's the do more with less.
Yeah, that's why high school coaches. High school coaches, most of them can't recruit. Some of them do secretly. But and that's why I've always been a big Bobby Bentley guy, because I've read his playbook, and it's the offense is structured with the way they do it to where, okay, one year you got 5 great receivers, you could chuck it all over the yard. The next year we'll maybe have a great running back, one good receiver, and then what I really liked about it was at the beginning of his playbook manifesto or whatever, it says, you do not have to be great on the offensive line to run this system successfully. That's what I really liked about it. Now, I don't know if he's been in college now a while, worked for a lot of different, I don't know how he's evolved, because some guys evolve and then they, but that's why I've always been a fan of his. I think, that system could work. Don't knock the high school systems. That they have to be creative. That's true.
Yeah, and he ran it like a machine at Burns.
Oh yeah, super fast. Called it from the sidelines.
Mm-hmm.
Had his visor on. Wonder who that looked like.
Yeah,
always been a fan of his. Can't understand for the life of me why Jeff Scott didn't promote him to OC. That was the most shocking thing I think I've ever seen. But Jeff's won one Power 5 game, I guess. So since he's been there, But yeah, that system, for those of you that saw Burns, I mean, they could go fast, they could run it, they could throw it. I mean, it just depended on their personnel. But that's the idea, I think, at South Carolina. And, here's a compliment to Marcus Satterfield. The playbook is set up that way, right? But I don't know. You just don't always run it like that. So I don't know. And I don't know how they teach it either. And things like cadences and terminology and stuff. Look, there's no reason why Spencer Rattler needs to tell a reporter, it's okay that he told the reporter, but or his quarterback's coach or whoever. But we never need to hear that. Oh, well, whereas this play at Oklahoma would be one word, it's 9 words long at South Carolina. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's nuts
for college. I mean, and I don't know how much it is or not. So anyway, we will be back with more predictions. South Carolina kicking off here in about how long, Phil? 7 hours, 7.5 hours?
6.5 hours.
6.5 hours. So that's a trip to Disney from the upstate, I think. 6.5.
Depending on to Jacksonville.
Well, yeah, you got 2 kids. That's
right.
Yeah, you got to stop all that. Anyway. So, all right, we'll be back after this final break here on Inside the Gamecocks, the show, as we wrap up the week and head into a unexpected Thursday night game day. It's just a nice surprise. We'll be back.
If you're looking to sell or buy multifamily property right here in South Carolina, the Burgesson team of RE/MAX at the Lake can help you get to closing fast and easy. Adam and Derek Burgesson both are very proud Gamecocks and are more than happy to assist you with any of your commercial real estate needs all across the state. You can email Adam at aburgesson@remax.net. That's ABERGESON at remax.net to get your next deal underway. The Burgesson team, proud sponsors of Inside the Gamecocks.
Attention golfers of all ages and skill sets. Former Gamecock golfer Meredith Taylor will be a full-time golf instructor in the Midlands of South Carolina very, very soon. You want to take advantage of this opportunity. If you're like me and you got to get a whole lot better at golf, or even if you're looking to refine your swing, Meredith is the person you need to go to. She's competing in her final USGA Mid-Amateur Tournament this summer before going full-time into teaching and coaching individuals. If you're in South Carolina, Meredith will be conducting in-person golf lessons at the Country Club of Lexington, half-hour, hour, on course. She'll play 9 or 18 with you. If you're out of state, though, this is really exciting. She'll be conducting virtual lessons. You can send in your swing for her expert analysis. Also, in November, she'll launch an online course with video instruction for all ages and skill levels. Meredith has 20-plus years of knowledge, former SEC golfer, all of that. So contact her on Twitter at MerTaylor, at MERTAYLOR, or go to McKellarEnterprises.org. McKellar spelled MCKELLAR, Enterprises.org. Her email's on the website, so you can connect with her for any other questions. Go get your golf game in order. Take advantage of Meredith Taylor and her services.
Family vacations, a new car, a new boat, all cost money, but you don't necessarily have to make more to afford any of that if you can save cash that's flying out the window now. iHelp Consulting can help you finally get the kids to Disney World, upgrade the minivan, or drop that new boat in the water next summer. Let Daniel and iHelp Consulting consult with you. No fees, just savings. You pay them a percentage of those savings. Save on essential services, credit card fees, you name it. Let them find it. These folks are incredible. iHelpConsulting.com. How can I help you?
Hey folks, JC here. I've told you about Nana's Porch over and over again. They sponsor our chat box on the show. Don't take my word for it, though. I wanted you to hear from Gamecock pitcher Noah Hall about our sponsor, Nana's Porch. Nana'sPorch.com. Go there. Food truck, catering, whatever you need. Take it away, Noah.
What's up, Gamecock fans? This is pitcher Noah Hall. If you want some delicious food for your event, I suggest visiting Nana'sPorch.com today to find out what they all have to offer. It's really good Southern cuisine based out of Charlotte, my hometown. I hope you guys go check it out. Go Cox and go Nanas.
Hey, man, are you sick and tired of your business computer guy?
Yes, he takes forever to call me back and doesn't always respond to the requests.
Yeah, same here. I'm paying him good money. I constantly have issues. and I'm worried he's not backing up my network and securing it properly.
Oh, I feel that, man. My head hurts, but I have a good lead on a good idea. I'm calling your boy Matthew Odom today from Heritage Digital. Heritage Digital is an IT firm that specializes in making sure your IT network runs like a dream. If you have 1 or 500 employees, it doesn't matter. They do it all for one monthly fee and have clients from South Carolina all the way to California.
Yeah, I heard that monthly fee's low too, so I don't know why I didn't even think of that. Do you have 843-699-1001 as Matt's contact number?
Yeah, man, I sure do that. Or you can go to heritagedigital.com.
Man, I hear they do a no-cost assessment. Boy, this will help me.
Yeah, I bet.
I'm getting on that and encouraging everyone else to do the same. Heritage Digital, 843-699-1001 or heritagedigital.com, a proud sponsor of Inside the Gamecocks, the show.
This is Braylon Wimmer, South Carolina Gamecock Baseball, and you are listening to Inside the Gamecocks, the show with JC and Phil. Go Cox!
Welcome back, everybody, to the final segment of a special game day edition of Inside the Gamecocks, the show. He's JC Sherbert. I'm Phil Mullinax. The show, of course, is sponsored and brought to you by Manscaped. Join over 5 million men worldwide who have joined with Manscaped and using the new Performance Package 4.0. Comes with the Lawnmower 4.0 upgraded over the last one. It's nice, waterproof, so you don't have to make a mess in your bathroom floor. Comes with the Weed Whacker ear and nose trimmer, ear and nose hair trimmer. That'd be a nose trimmer. I could use a little trim, right? You know, I'm not that vain, so I don't really care about it. About the size of my schnoz. Remember, use the code Big Spur for 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com. That's 20% off and free shipping with code Big Spur at manscaped.com. Use the right tools for the right job with Manscaped.
All right. Thanks for that, Phil. Here we go. We are going through the predictions on Twitter. Tim comes in 40-13 Gamecocks, Greenwood, South Carolina. Thanks, Tim. Muck Fark Stoops says 62-17 Gamecocks. He's also from Greenwood. 32-10 good guys from Chesterfield. Good guys, I have to tell you, then your tater.
What's a tater?
Good guys, if I have to tell you, then you are a tater.
You are one, yeah.
So what is Cox First Class saying? It was a response to yesterday's poll. Duncan says Charlotte, North Carolina, 48-13 Gamecocks. So I kind of like to see where everybody's from, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of fun because we have people from the Pacific North. We have a whole group in the Pacific Northwest, the Greater Seattle Gamecock Club or whatever.
Right, yeah, man, y'all need to join forces up there.
Loves our show. Man, maybe me and Phil will take a nice trip out there or something.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, host a watch party.
Yeah, host a watch party at the fish market or something. I don't know. I'll step over all the homeless tents and everything out there. VJ Belmont says on the I Help Consulting mailbag, he says, "Hey guys, my son and I attended the Charlotte game last weekend, and the atmosphere for a lower tier team was amazing." I agree. I know our players get a lot of crap for how they play on the field sometimes, but wanted to remind everyone to have some respect for the humans they are off the field too. On the way to the game, we bumped into Perry Orth, who was more than happy to take a photo of my son. And after the game, we went down to the hedges to try to get a high five from the players. Cam Smith, Zach Pickens, and Marshawn Lloyd all came right over and talked to fans. And Cam even signed my son's towel. Great group of guys. Keep up the good work on the podcast, Belmont. I agree, Belmont. And I'll say this. I do think there's a lot of good human beings on this football team and in this football program. I think that's undeniable. I don't know that it's always been that way. I think Steve Spurrier really did that, though. I mean, because even the really, really good teams, those guys were competitors, winners, whatever you want to call them, but they were all good people, and I think that's one of the many ways Steve Spurrier changed his program because, he you look at the difference between, some of like the rap sheet at Florida when Spurrier was there versus like when Urban Meyer was there, and they both had a lot of success. Think about that.
Yeah, so. Urban. Yeah, he had some interesting characters.
Jeez. Yeah, no doubt. Like, I don't know, somebody that killed people, Yeah. Jeez. You had Tim Tebow and then that guy. I'm like, wow, what an eclectic group. What an eclectic group we have here, Urban. It's something else. So Drew says, JC enjoying the show. I catch the podcast every evening. I heard you say a few times the offense works when it can get the run game going. Do you think we get the run game going mostly against inferior teams? Yeah, but North Carolina, not good on defense. Florida and Auburn were probably the two best defenses they were able to run it on last year. The inconsistency drives me crazy because Missouri sucked on defense last year, and they couldn't get the run game going. I'm like,
no, that was the one game we were like, man, we're going to be able to run it all down their throat, and they did the exact opposite.
Terrible game plan, just awful. So if a defense is evenly matched to our offense or superior, our offense sputters. This scheme can only work at Georgia and Alabama with superior talent to everyone they play. That's if that's the case. I think that's probably the only known about this offense is that if they run the ball at will almost, they do pretty well. Now, the Auburn game last year, they didn't exactly go up and down the field, man. They were just they did it when it mattered. They did it in clutch time. And then Carolina's defense did a good job of tightening up and stopping Auburn after that, the first couple of drives. And Auburn, for whatever reason, quit giving it to Tank Bigsby. So,
yeah, and this year you let some running opportunities go, in my opinion, in the Arkansas game. They're outmatched at Georgia, but
Yeah. But I thought they sort of gave up on the run game against Georgia a little bit too. But who knows?
Yeah, but you're down 1,000. So
Drew says, "What do you think of Bobby Bentley as an OC candidate if we have to make a change? If you have to make a change, look, I'd love it. I'd be all for it. I think it would work. I'll be honest. And we just talked about Bobby. Bobby's never been an OC in college, and that's going to be a hard number one. I don't know that he'd even be on Shane Beamer's radar. Number two, you probably need to go get somebody that's called it in college and has a track record because there's a group of the fans that understand what Bobby's all about, and that kind of are sitting there going, well, Muschamp would have still been the coach here had Bobby been the OC and all this, because they watch Burns and they know. Then there's a group of the fan base that, a tiny group that doesn't like him, that didn't like Jake, that never gave them a chance, complained about everything, diminish him. And I think those people are probably diehard high school football fans that aren't fans of Burns. They got their asses cut.
Yeah, that's your Dorman and Gaffney fans, right?
And they're a little upset about it. I understand that part too. And then there's a group that, unless you go get a name, they're not going to be happy. And I don't think a name matters. I think you got to go get a guy that's innovative, that's maybe at another level. Like everybody nowadays loves Phil Longo at North Carolina, right? We love Phil Longo. Well, guess what? Hugh Freeze hired Phil Longo. I think he had coached at Sam Houston State for a year, and before that, he was in D2 ball in Pennsylvania, like where G.A. Mangus came from.
Yeah, not a name.
Yeah, so think about that. Chip Kelly. Everybody loves Chip Kelly when he was at Oregon, right? Chip was the OC at New Hampshire, the Wildcats, the New Hampshire Wildcats. And and so Mike Bellotti hired him. He's there 1 year, takes over the head coaching job, and all of a sudden was one of the best coaches in football for a while, or college football. I don't think Chip did that well in the pros. So it's guys like that, that you got to go find. Now, they're hard to find, but I would take that over a stretch from the NFL or a guy that, was the guy that worked for the guy or what, I just, that's just kind of my opinion on it. Somebody did mention Florida State's offensive coordinator, Alex Atkins. I love that guy, but I love him as a run game coordinator, O-line coach. Norvell's really dialing him up. I know there was a big long article about Atkins and being the actual OC and all that, but trust me on that. Mike Monroeville's dialing it up. HB says, all right, so on yesterday's poll question, Vivian starts talking about West Virginia on Thanksgiving Day in 1990. I remember that game. Gamecocks won. HB says, my firstborn was born at Cape Fear Valley Hospital in Fayetteville on 10/3/07. I remember holding him that night, watching USC take down Kentucky, and Eric Norwood playing lights out. Will always cherish that memory. That's a beautiful memory. I was heading to Charleston. I went to Charleston after that game for my ex brother-in-law. I hate saying ex because I still know the guy and think the world of him, but his wedding. He actually had a wedding during fall, Phil. And so this was family at the time. So
so you got to go. Yeah.
Well, they had already moved when they set that date, they had already moved the Carolina game to Thursday night. So thank you.
Yeah, fortunate.
Thank you. And some people got in a scuffle because somebody answered USC Georgia 2012. And everybody's like, it was a Saturday night game. And it was right. So Gamecock Fan 3 says, one thing I'm looking for in this game is Lloyd getting 15 touches. I don't want to see him disappear after a good game. Hey, that's a trend right now. So, yeah, it concerns me too. If I had mentioned that all week, it sounds like I'm being crazy critical. And after a win, why would you do that? That's not positive. But not that I have to be positive about every win, but I'm curious to see what happens after his big game because you look at this through 17 games. Guys have had big games one week, and look what happens the next. What do you think, Phil?
I mean, that's one of the tendencies that needs to stop. I think tendency is kind of an overarching theme when it comes to offense, whether it be calling, personnel usage, disappearances. There are tendencies that need to not be there. So let's get that right tonight.
My guy Joel, who's totally done with Kentucky because he lives in Louisville, he can't take it anymore, says he'd take Bobby Bentley or Justin Stepp as offensive coordinator any day of the week. Very interesting. Daddy Eb goes 35-6 Cox, but just fingers crossed my lights stay on. If you're on the coast, I hope so too.
Yeah.
Carolina Titans says Steve Spurrier also didn't want us telling players good job when they produced crap on the field. I don't know about the players. He didn't want you to clap after you lost.
That's right.
Andrew goes the 30 for 30 on 05 to 09 Florida will be a big hit. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
TA goes 52-16 Cox. Gene Bell has 2 touchdowns. Greenville is home, but currently, you know where he is. It's where they love the governor. Muscle Shoals, Alabama. Muscle Shoals. Is it Birmingham they love?
Birmingham, they love the governor. Yeah.
What's the Leonard Skinner lyric about Muscle Shoals? I'm a moron.
I don't know. I can't remember.
The next OC can't be, I think this guy can do it. We need to play a proven OC $1 million and let him run the show. I don't know. Proven means college football to me. Like I'll take a D2 or an FCS guy that's doing more with less, that's got a 6-7. So I'll say this. The guy at Kansas that runs offense for Lance Leopold, that dude's the biggest place he's been before Kansas is Buffalo. He was at Wisconsin Whitewater for 8 years dialing up ball plays. Do you know how hard it is to get players at Wisconsin Whitewater? It's not Wisconsin. It's Wisconsin Whitewater, and they won national championship after national championship. So, and you look at what Kansas, you tell me Kansas has had all this great recruiting. BS. and they're just beating teams down. Like for example, Kansas beat Houston. The great Dana Holgerson. Supposed to be this great play caller, and who is. So that's one of those things. Ryan says Burns was a system, though, right? They taught the kids similar plays in Little League. Not sure Bentley has the same success as an OC in college. That's true, but that's not why they were successful. I mean, he dialed them up on game day, and his system is a lot like. In terms of application, it's a lot like Spurrier. Spurrier's deal was, if you ever go watch Steve Spurrier's teams practice, they're out there running the same daggum pass concept over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. And so that would be your guts of the offense, right? And then great thing about him, he had a lot of option routes and stuff for receivers before everybody was doing it, so it was good. Well, then how he would go in and scheme you up was it was the formations. He would run kind of the same play and then put little wrinkles in, and it was easy. The kids, once everybody repped it all spring and repped it all summer, it was great. So I thought that was good. Daddy Cam is getting 2 picks tonight. The South Carolina State boys are mouthing off. Yeah, I mean, I think there's a good opportunity for him too, because I think the Gamecocks are probably going to come after, or should come after, Corey Fields, who I think for that level is a really good quarterback. So that's the thing there.
But I'd love to see him be so uncomfortable this evening.
I think he will be, because I don't think their offensive line's all that good either. Nothing against Nashawn Goddard. Carolina Titan says Spurrier also had a lot of big bullies at wide receiver. Well, if you think about it, they kind of recruited the same way. I mean, he took advantage of in-state wide receivers and had some guys like McKinley that panned out from out of state and Pharaoh Cooper and all that. But they, and Junior actually did well. I think developing wide receiver talent. I don't think anything else. Don't let him make any personnel decisions whatsoever.
Right? No, yeah.
Coaches, players, tell him who to play, tell him who to coach. But as far as like teaching the game, there may be nobody better in football as far as teaching guys how to play that position. So that's good. Somebody says Kevin Johns, who's at Duke, like him. Got to watch Duke the other day. So that was good. Shannon goes, Gamecocks win. She's rolling in from Cincinnati, Ohio, 41-10. It's a good score, right? Yeah. 41-10 from the Queen City. Are they the Queen? I guess Charlotte's the Queen City, too. Cincinnati's some kind of the chili city. Have you ever had Cincinnati chili, Phil?
Oh, that Skyline crap. Not my favorite. It's not my favorite chili.
I ate some at a Bears game at the bar there. We're having Cincinnati chili today. And I ate it, and I was like, what the? It was like, the hell's in this, And I'll be honest, it didn't mix. And I came home and, let's just say I was in the bathroom for a little while with my, I was, that was a true hangover because I was hanging over the toilet.
Yeah, right.
It was awful. So, Sandra, I'll check into Kevin Johns. Duke certainly has a pretty good offense this year. I'm pretty impressed with what Elko's done. I watched most of their game with Kansas. To me, what I like about the Kansas offense is they can run, they can throw. You can have a running quarterback, you have a throwing quarterback, doesn't matter. And that's what I'm talking about, being resourceful and innovative. And the last thing they need, if there is, and I say all this to say, I'm hopeful the rest of this year works out, and we're not even talking about this at the end of the year.
Right.
That will have meant there's been some nice changes for the better, some adaptation, that kind of thing. But unless it's somebody that's just a baller, you don't need to get somebody in here that's like, you need to learn my plays and my system and our terminology, and it may take you 2 years to do it. There's not that much time in college football. So that was it. Daddy O says, yes, had Skyline chili on a college road trip to Shoemaker Center when the Cocks took down the Bearcats. Is it spaghetti or chili? I don't know. I didn't eat any noodles with it. I mean, I just was like totally repulsed and disgusted.
Yeah,
but everybody else, they will fight you in Cincinnati if you say something about their chili. So, and some people love it. I mean, I just didn't care for it. It was kind of nuts. Well, Phil, we got a game day tonight, man. I'm going to go ahead and we can break it down. If you have late predictions, fill them up on the Nana Sports chat box, and we'll get to them. I want to thank everybody for participating today. Thanks to Keith for coming on today. That was fun. I think this is a game, just looking at, I think South Carolina State is going to be overmatched on the lines of scrimmage. I think on this stage, Shaquan Davis will come out and make some plays, and I think it's just because he's good. if the wind and the pass rush doesn't derail Corey Fields. Corey's an awfully good quarterback for that level. SC State, if they're running the ball better against people this year, and I look out for Kendrell Flowers too, because he's good. I mean, he's good enough to do some damage. I'd be a little more concerned about the quick turnaround. I think South Carolina's defense is going to go out and try to set the tone. I think you're probably going to see a similar game plan to last week, maybe with a few more shots, maybe not. Hopefully, Jaheim Bell gets the ball. But I'm gonna say South Carolina's probably going to roll it up, 51-3.
Yeah. I like that. Similar to what I've got. But like you, JC, I think we're just going to impose our will here. We outmatch them across the board. Davis is going to get his, I think, early, and then or sometime that we're going to be able to let them get into the end zone with him. They'll move the ball a little bit, but I really just don't see them going up and down the field. I see us going up and down the field a lot, but like you, I think the game plan will be fairly similar to last week, with maybe a couple of shots thrown in. Score first, what we need. Have dominant defense, play a complete game, and complimentary football on both sides. But I think we walk away with a 52-10.
Hey, I think we got a Clemson fan in the chat box.
Yeah, it must be.
Hey, let's bring him up here. Here's his genius prediction. Go ahead.
King.
Oh goodness. Oh, how cute.
USC light. What does that mean?
I don't know. Nice. He got his purple shirt going there. It's pretty cool.
We were a university before they ever thought about being a state.
I don't think he's a Trojans fan.
No, I know it's not that.
The purple, the farm behind him kind of gave it away.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's right.
Anyway,
pack your slicker for tomorrow. I mean, for Saturday morning, you're going to need
Joel goes douche alert. So yeah, definitely. Ging.
Well, welcome in, Ging. We appreciate the engagement.
Ging sounds like Saunders says Ging's a ginger. No soul confirmed. Ging sounds like a little like a it's like, oh my gosh, look, it's the mystical land of the Sprite fairies. Oh, we must go see Ging to get permission to pick our peaches today. And oh my goodness,
not to disturb the Ging.
Ging, will you come skip with us? Will you come dance with us, Ging, please? Oh yes, the mighty Ging is here. Hello, I'm Ging. Let's square dance, guys. Okay. Oh, kiss me on the lips. All right. Let's go skip and run down this hill together and release a bunch of balloons. Hopefully they're orange.
Orange and purple.
Oh. That's a great way to end it. I don't mind. I don't mind Clemson people coming in and doing that. Love that beak on you, Phil. Yeah.
That flattery will get you nowhere up here.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, Ging. Oh, look at Phil's beak. Can I touch you? Or maybe Ging's German. Would you like to touch Phil's beak? Would you like to touch it? Nah. It's all in good fun, Ging. We love you. Thanks for contributing in the Data Sports chat box. And thank all of you. It's been a short week again. No show tomorrow. Be back next week to review the SC State game and get ready for I'm going to call next week will be a butt tightening week because everybody's butt's going to get a little tighter because they're playing Kentucky. But we'll see what happens there with all of that. All right, for Phil Mullinax, for JC Sherbert, for Ging, who now says he's Polish.
All right.
Is that a Polish name, Ging?
It's probably Ginge because he's got red hair. But, I don't know.
Who knows? The Polish
food's good.
Dude, there's a buffet in Chicago called Old Warsaw. Mm-hmm. It's a Polish buffet.
Nice.
Off the chart. When you guys come visit, we'll definitely hit that place up, dude.
Yeah, we were in Buffalo and went to a Polish restaurant that had no signs or anything out front. So the food was good.
Dude. There's no signs, yeah. All right. So and Tim ends the show with Polish sausage. Polish sausage. All right, folks. Enjoy game day today, and we'll be back next week inside the Gamecocks, the show. And Be safe too with that storm out there. Even Ging up there in where there's a lot of mud and manure and agriculture and earth. And earth. I'm going to move the earth. I'm going to pull out my Ging and move the earth. Anyway. All right, folks, I got to get out of here before things go crazy.
It just devolves. Yep. Y'all have a good game day.
Take